Hey there folks, welcome back. So recently I was working with JAXB for some of my work, so I realized why not make a short video on JAXB marshalling and unmarshalling. So here I am with a demonstration video with you. So basically what I will discuss in this demonstration video is that I will basically share some basic information about the JAXB, and then we'll talk about the annotations which are commonly used in JAXB based applications, or we use for development, and also example XML with namespaces. So basically that is the major focus point in this demonstration, how to handle the namespaces and complex types using JAXB. And then we will discuss about the dependencies available to work with the JAXB, and finally we'll have a demonstration. So let's move forward. So JAXB is basically a Java architecture for XML binding, shortly known as JAXB, which provides an API and tools that automate the mapping between XML documents and Java objects, or POJOS. So this is basically one way to read and write XML documents or work with the XML documents. There are also a few available approaches and libraries in order to handle the XML documents. For example, DOM parser. Also, there is Sux parser and also Stacks parser. They are the alternatives to JAXB. You can also go ahead with this one. I'm sure you have tried all those, but in this demonstration I will just stick to the JAXB. So as you can see, this is used to unmarshal XML content into Java representation. Unmarshal, that means you are parsing, you are reading the XML document, and then in a Java representation, and also you can access and update the Java representation as well. And marshalling means writing the Java representation of the XML content into XML content. That's basically the introduction about the JAXB. So before JDK9, JAXB was part of JDK. Oracle used to ship this library with JDK. However, since JDK9 it became deprecated, but it was still with the JDK. However, since JDK11 it was totally removed from the release. So in order to work with the JAXB, you have to use the dependencies. Okay, add the dependencies in your build tool. So here are some links that I have shared in this slide as well, so that you can go ahead and check those, check more information about this library by yourself. So I will probably add these links in the description. And annotation, regarding the annotations, there are many annotations available. If you can visit this link, you will probably get more information about it. But normally, most often we use these annotations to deal with the JAXB implementation. For example, the XML root element, XML any type, XML attribute, XML transient, XML schema type, XML schema types, XML access or order. For some reason I have put it twice. So there is another one, XML wrapper type. So these are basically the mostly common used annotations. There are a bunch other, so you can obviously go ahead and check that from that link. So for this demonstration, I will probably be working with this XML snippet. This is a mimicking of my original XML file, so it looks similar but nothing original in it. So all are dummy data here. So if I increase the size a little bit, I'm sure it's not that. So as you can see, this XML file contains the prefix. It has some schema type, for example this console, and these informations here right here. So and there is also a bunch of other tags and informations out there. So if we can handle this sort of XML data, we will be able to handle the simple data types as well. So this is much more, I mean, a real world XML file you will encounter in your real world job now and then. So we will deal with this. And regarding the dependencies, there are plenty of dependencies provided by different vendors. So for example, there is one from the Glassfish, which is a part of Oracle, obviously, and also there is Java XML bind, and also there is from Jakarta and um, some other vendors as well. And also Eclipse provide one dependency for JAXB as well. So go ahead and check all those um, from the internet. These are readily available, so I will probably put the link in the description so that you can find this um, dependencies to use in your project. So let's get to our uh, IDE now. So what I would like to do, I'm mostly interested in this uh, mapping thing, data modeling. Okay, so I actually have those implementations here for marshalling and marshalling, so I'll probably reuse those code here. So for this one, our major focus is to how we can handle actually this type of XML files. Okay, so marshalling and marshalling code is also available online, so I will probably put description where put the link in the description so that you can visit and copy paste those codes from online. So marshalling and marshalling code is available everywhere, so we just need to focus on the data modeling. So let's go ahead, and I already have an existing project, so I'm gonna create just one package for this demonstration. So I'm gonna name it uh, let's say demo XML demo schema demo.schema, and then we need to select the source folder. So we have it, we have a package info here. Okay, so one thing to, okay, I'm coming to that later. It will become too early if I say it right now. So let's create one class. Okay, so always focus on this model. Okay, so what I would suggest is always start from the lowest point. Okay, so from the lowest element and go up upside, so it will become easier for you to handle this modeling. Okay, so we have the key value first. Okay, so you can get there and create a class. Let's say key value. I would like to make it package private. I also want to make it final so that actually, okay, so what does it have? It has three attributes: key, value, and type. So let's define all those. Private string key. I'm gonna copy this a couple more times. Value and type. So let's set the uh, getter and setter first, and make those define these attributes using the annotation. Okay, so let's make it this way: XML attribute So on this one, so I'm just showing the simple way first, then probably show one or two more complex use cases or different use cases which you need to know. And then let's create the class config. Okay, so what does this config actually contain? So if I get here, config contains a list of key value, right? It contains a list of key values. So we can do it this way. Get back to our code. We can define private list of key value. And this key values are the elements of config. So we need to define it this way here. XML element, and we name it this way. Okay. Now let's go upward. Now we have the consolidation config, the parent of config element. So let's create that one. Consolidation config. So it holds this element. So let's create that, define that. Okay, so now we have reached to the root element, which is the consolidation config list. Let's create that one. So which is going to be this one, consolidation config. So let's copy this and get back to our term IDE, paste this here. And also we need to define two things here. I mean, at least I would like to do it. Root element, let's explicitly name it. Okay, explicitly name this one. Okay, this is optional. We could obviously skip this part, but I like to do it. I like to put the name explicitly, so I have did it, done it. So another thing that I would like to add here is that, let's say, the accessor type. I really like it to add. So let's add that as well. So now we have been able to create this structure, but there is one problem with our modeling so far. That is, we did not actually handle the namespaces. So we have to do it. So how we can do it? So there is if we consider the unmarshalling first, let's talk about the unmarshalling. So what I would like to do, I would like to create a constant class. Say go ahead and let's name it namespaces, and make it final static final string. So how many namespaces do we have here? We have two namespaces. One is b, another one is console. So let's define those here. Okay, let's get back here and copy. Okay, so we have defined the namespaces. That's cool. Now, before going any further, before using these namespaces in our code, I would like to show you what would generate if we actually try to unmarshal the XML file using our existing data modeling. So what would happen? So for that one, what I would like to do, oh, I like to create a main class or executable class and create a main function, and then I would like to copy some code from my previous implementation for simplicity. So basically I'm gonna do this. Oh, sorry, I'm going to explain what I'm doing after actually I finish it. So for this one, we have, so basically this is an interface we have implemented which retains the parse XML, which parse XML overrides the parse function from this interface. So we are gonna and it takes the parameter of the root element of our XML file. So in our case, the root element is the consolidation config list. So navigation config list, and we also need to go ahead and call this, and our file name is example.xml. So if I get to my folder location, and this one actually holds our example. Let's verify that. Yep, we have that. So basically what is happening is that we are uh, calling that parse function from our implementation, parse XML implementation. So and then what I would like to do, I'd like to remove all these implementations, format that a little bit, and try to access. Okay, so I'm missing something here. So we have the version, right? We have the version attribute here we did not include, so let's include this one first and then come back again. So private string version, so which is going to be the attribute. Okay, so this is XML attribute, and add this here. Okay, so another thing that I would like to address is that put those annotations on the setter method, not on the getter method. Okay, so remember that. So now if I get back to our execution class and try to uh, read that version, I mean, I would like to generate the error first, even before work with the namespaces. So what you would get if you actually forget or do not define the namespaces in your data model. So what you would get, I would like to address those. So here we are. So what it is saying is that it's uh, getting some unexpected data, but which expects some elements like this. Okay, so this sort of error you get if you miss out the namespace. Okay, so this is a very common error. So remember that this error. I will probably copy that and keep it somewhere. I would like to put that in the description as well. So what sort of error will generate if we skip the namespace uh, mapping in our code. So now let's get back and uh, go to our code. So here, so let's put the namespaces. Namespace is equal to namespaces dot console. So you could definitely hard code this one, but I prefer to put the namespaces in a separate constant file so that we can, I mean, it looks much better. So we could handle this as well from constant file, but for this demonstration, I'm not gonna actually make it that much difficult. So, and also you have to put the namespaces for each and every single element which has a namespace. Okay, so remember that. So namespace here, consolidation config. Let's verify that what was here. Consolidation config is also has the console prefix, so let's put that as well. Namespaces dot console. So let's get back to config, which has config. I believe the namespace is the same. Namespace namespaces dot console. And what else do we have? We have the config, which has key value and which has a namespace of, don't forget to add that. We have a namespace is B here, so don't mess this up. Okay, and so did we miss anything else? This is fine. It's fine. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Okay, now let's get back and try to execute our code. As you can see, the error is gone, so our mapping is working as expected. So I would like to grid to this way version. Okay, so let's move ahead and work, print out the key values from this XML file. So let's do it like consolidation config list dot get consolidation config. Okay, and then what do we have? Dot get config. So let's make it bigger. Config dot get key values, which we have here, which is a list of key values basically. And import that, and from here we can stream those values. Okay, okay, so now if we execute this, as you can see, we are actually getting data from the XML file, so we can verify that obviously. So our mapping is working for unmarshalling. So this procedure is called unmarshalling. Okay, so let's clean up this code a little bit so that you can understand. Uh, Well, let's make it static. So okay. Okay, so the unmarshalling is done. So now let's work on the marshalling thing. Okay, so okay, once while we are done with the marshalling and unmarshalling, I will a little bit talk about the implementation. Okay, briefly, very briefly, because as I said, the marshalling and unmarshalling code is available, readily available online. So I didn't do anything out of the box for those things. Okay, so for marshalling, what we need to do is uh, for this one, I will also use the demo code I have. So let's check this out. So I don't need this. Okay, config list. Okay, so for unmarshalling, we was reading the existing XML file, and for marshalling or the writing, we are gonna write the data into new XML file. Okay, so let's try to put data in our data model. So let's do it this way. So this one. So let's say we start from below again. We define one key value 1 is equal to new key value 1 dot set key1 value 1, and also 1 dot set type, let's say string, and for this we need to create a list of key value. Let's say linked list. Let's key values dot add key value 1. So I'm gonna copy this a couple more times. So and then we are gonna create the config. So let's say config is equal to new config dot add, sorry, set key values, and guess the key values, and then we are gonna define the consolidation config consolidation config config is equal to new consolidation config. So we need to set the config into this one, and finally the root element holds the config, and finally we set the version. Let's say this is string, right? So new date, it's a string. Okay, so now we have created or populated data to a sample our sample data structure or data model we have created for this data modeling we have. So let's try to run that and try to write that in a text.xml file. So let's see what we get. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so this is not called from the main class, so we have to call this here. My bad. Okay, so let's execute that. Okay, so actually I'm doing a bad thing here, which is let's throw the exception from the method header instead of handling it right inside the function. Okay, so this is a good practice. This is what I find actually to be a good practice. Okay, so here so now let's execute that once more. Okay, so let's get back to our folder directory and try to open this up. So here, this is what we get. Actually, we get the XML file, obviously, but this is slightly different than what we expected actually. Okay, so it's missing the prefix. I mean, it's showing a prefix but in a different way. I mean, the value is not what we actually expected. So, and also the order is not what we expected, and the data, this is basically I missed it out, so I'm gonna fix that. Okay, so for XMLNS we get this, but for this one these prefixes are wrong, so let's fix that. So in order to fix this one, we have to use this package.info file. Okay, so remember that this is important, this package.info file. So if it's missing, you have to add a package.info file in your package where actually you want to deal with this schema files. So what we need to do, I'm gonna copy some code here, get back to our schema file, and this XML schema annotation should be above the package name, so you cannot actually put it below. Okay, so I remember that. And let's put our information right here. So I'm just removing the unnecessary things that we have. So B and console, these two are important, necessary for our also. Also, this will just be, and it's just okay. So we have added the XML schema annotation in our package info, which will uh, allow this root element or this marshalling thing to be as the as of type XML schema type. Okay, so let's get back to our code and fix some information here. Okay, so another thing that we need to, in a real world scenario, often you will need to update the existing XML file. So actually we can do it after unmarshalling the XML file. So how we can do it here? Okay, so let's say I'm gonna keep this printed values right here, but after that I'm gonna do some changes. For example, if I get back to my XML file, as you can see, this file has different types, and among those, hidden is one of those. So this file has three data which have type hidden. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change these hidden types to visible. So what we can do here is that we're gonna make some changes in our code. So for example, key values dot stream. Ah, so for each element, I'm gonna make the change if e dot get type not is equal to null, and e dot get type dot equals hidden. We're gonna set the value to visible, and finally we can type in return. And then we need to write the uh, marshalling code here, so we already have that here. So let's copy that and paste it right here and change this to this one. So this variable should be here, and this will be this example file, because we are updating the existing XML file, we are not creating a new one, so just remember that. So once this is done, let's execute that and get back to our example.xml file. And as you can see, the type is has been changed, has changed to visible. So this is how actually we can update the existing XML file using the JAXB. So that is basically it. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.